Hello, I'm in the polytunnel again today because it's a pretty miserable day today. It's been really foggy for the past couple of days, so no work in the garden, but that's okay because I think I totally exhausted myself working in the garden on Monday, I think it was, when it was a nice day. Never mind, but yeah, it looks like it's brightening up a little bit. The fog's lifting anyway, but it's still quite cold and damp, so we're in the polytunnel, and today I'm going to be looking at some more unusual plants and seeds to grow and the reasons why we do that. And then I'm going to plant my little celery that I grew from indoors. I want to put that in the ground and just show you sort of how it goes really. I'll bring it over. So here's my little celery plant, and as you can see it's got some nice roots growing there, and it's growing again from the middle, so that should be alright to grow on into a plant. So we're going to get that in the ground, and then I'm going to do some more plants and seeds, and I'll chat to you as we go. So I'll just adjust the camera and then I'll be back. Okay, so we're back planting our celery. It's just there, so I'm just going to put it with the other celery that I've already planted. So I'm pretty sure this is a weed, so that's coming up. I don't know what it is. So that's coming up. I'm going to dig down into, I think there's a bulb in down there, there's a little tunnel. I'll put some back in. We have quite a few moles in the garden, but I tend to just leave them. I don't think they do much harm, they just make a right mess. So, but I don't know, maybe other people know different, so let me know if moles are a problem for you and if I should be doing something about it. But I just leave them to it, although the cats sometimes catch them, which is a little bit sad. And bring me a mole, poor little mole. There we go, that's it, done. And I water that in and hopefully it'll grow. The other ones seem to be growing alright, they've been in for a few weeks and they're not dying anyway. It looks like something might have eaten the middle of that, which isn't very good. But I'll leave them anyway, they're green, and I'll see how they get on. Okay, so now we're going to do some planting and potting on. Okay, so I've just set up my little potting bench. I've got my compost ready in a bucket. I've not added vermiculite or anything to it because I'm going to be potting on at first, so I don't need to worry too much about things like that. It's more for seeds. So this is a banana, believe it or not, that my lovely next door neighbour gifted to me. I think she got it from Lidl. So it's looking a bit pot bound. I'm not convinced that we'll get bananas from it in this climate, but I'm going to give it a go. So what I'm doing here is I'm just pulling the roots out, because if we don't, they'll just keep going round and round no matter how big a pot we put it in. So if we just, doesn't matter if we break a few of them, it's not, they will regrow. It's better to do that than to let it just keep going round and round. Okay, it is a bit dry, so I'll make sure that gets a good soaking when I put it in. So I'm just going to put some compost in the bottom of there. I'll put it into quite a bit bigger pot because I think it will actually need quite a bit more room. Plants like this that you get from supermarkets and garden centres and what have you, they'll grow them in as little soil as possible because obviously that's cheaper for them. It's not always best for the plant, so just bear that in mind. So bananas obviously, well maybe not obviously, but won't grow outside in the UK. It's far too cold for them. So when I've potted this on, I'll be taking it back inside the house, and I'll be keeping it inside the house until the weather warms up significantly, and then I might put it outside in the garden through the height of summer, and then I'll put it in the polytunnel, and then I'll decide whether I'm going to leave it in the polytunnel over winter or whether I'm going to take it back into the house. I think until it's maybe got a couple more years on its growth and got a bit more resilience, it might be better off in the house. And who knows, it might grow bananas one day, although that's not guaranteed at all in this country. Okay, so that's that. Tree. This is a lemon that I grew from a pit maybe about 4 years ago now, I think, and it didn't really do much at first. I think because my old house is very cold, so it didn't really put on much growth, but since I've moved it's shot up and it's looking a little bit big for that pot now, so I'm going to move it. So with lemon seeds, I just saved this from a lemon that I got from the supermarket. You can see its roots are starting to go around, so it is ready for potting on. And if you're saving lemon seeds, you need to plant them straight away. Don't let them dry out. They don't germinate as well if you let them dry out. So you need to put them into compost straight away, in just a little pot. Doesn't need to be a big pot. You know, something that size will do, just your basic little pot. And you can plant a few of them, plant a few seeds and see how they go. And it's just a bit of fun. I have no idea if or when this will fruit. If it fruits, it'll be great. I'm going to do the same as I'm going to do with the banana. I'm going to set this back in the house until the weather warms up, and then I'll probably let it stand outside in the summer. And then with this one, I think I will probably just bring it back into the polytunnel over the winter and overwinter it, because lemons are actually quite hardy. They're not fully hardy, but they're reasonably hardy, and they will tolerate some frosts, but not really hard, deep frosts. The reason they don't grow that well in this climate is not because they're not that hardy, it's because the summers aren't long enough really for them. They're not long and hot enough, so they need that long hot period to fruit. So hopefully eventually it will fruit. And the thing with lemons is, because you don't use lemons that often, or most people don't use lemons that often, it is worth growing and having a lemon in your polytunnel, because even if you only get a dozen fruits off it, you know, that probably lasts you like quite a long time. Whereas if you were to try and grow something like an orange tree or a clementine, which also can grow from seeds in a similar way to lemon, you're not really going to get many fruits from it, and is it worth the space? But if you just want to give it a go for a bit of fun, you can do that exactly the same as you do for the lemon seeds. Just save the seeds, pop them into a little pot straight away, and then as they get bigger, just put them into bigger pots. And that's it, that's that one done. So I'm going to put that one down and water it as well, and then I'll set them back in the house. Right, so now I'm going to plant some seeds. And I'll put a little bit of vermiculite in the potting mix. Not a lot, just that. Mix it in. And that just gives a bit more lightness to the compost and helps little seeds to put down roots more easily, which isn't as much of an issue with your bigger plants. So I shall pop some compost in. To get under the bucket's probably more efficient, isn't it? There we go. and then just press it down, not too firmly, reasonably gently, because you don't want it too compacted, otherwise they'll struggle to put down roots. Just pick off the clumpy bits. That's the technical term, clumpy bits. Okay. So what I'm going to plant in there is carob. What's wrong with it? So in here I've got some carob seeds, and I've soaked them. You're supposed to soak them for 12 hours, but I think these have been soaking for about 48. So it's quite a big seed, so it's quite easy to put in. And carob beans can be used as a substitute for chocolate. And I just fancy growing something unusual. In permaculture there's quite a push, really, I suppose you'd call it, to consider growing lots of different types of plants, because the more different types of plants you grow, the more resilience you've got in your garden. And as the climate changes, other things that we wouldn't normally grow in this country might grow better. And then there's also the push towards more perennial planting, because that's more resilient than growing annuals and also much less work. So that's that. And then I've just planted them in about the same depth as the seed, and then I'll cover them up. So, and we'll see if they grow. Now this is a little tree, I believe, carob. So I'm going to plant that in the forest garden, should it grow. And if I've got spare ones, I may well share them. So there's a couple of seed companies in the UK that I'm aware of that do sell quite a lot of unusual seeds. One is the Agroforestry Research Trust, and another one is Food Forests. Foodforest.eu is the website, and that's where I got my other seeds from, which you can't see in there. And I think I'm actually going to go and get a sieve to get them out. So that's indigo, so I'm going to have a go at growing indigo, so that I can use it as a dye and dye my own fabrics. Just another bit of diversification in the garden. And it is worth considering growing different plants and seeds. So if you've tried growing any different plants and seeds, do let me know in the comments below. Avocado is something else that I've considered having a go at, but I'm not actually that keen on avocado, so it seems a bit pointless growing it if I don't want to eat it. I'm surprised at how many people do that though, so let's not do that. We won't do that. Okay, so I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to plant my indigo. I might just show you when I've planted it, and then let me know how you're getting on with your plants and seeds, and how the weather is with you, and whether you've managed to get anything in the ground. Okay, see you again next time. So I sieved the indigo seeds. I forgot to say that the reason we soak them is it just helps with germination. So some seeds benefit from soaking, some seeds don't. So you need to check that out. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the seeds in one pot, and then when they germinate, if they germinate, I'll prick them out then. So I'm going to try and space them out as much as I can in a little pot, so they're not totally on top of one another. Just flick them around with my fingers. There we go. I wet the soil before I planted, and that makes it easier to kind of stick them in. And I should just put a little sprinkling over the top. And I'm actually going to leave the indigo here in the polytunnel to germinate. Ideally, I should have started them a couple of of months ago, but because the weather's quite cold, it's probably benefited from the delay. And then we'll see how they get on. Okay.